is Aaron.
My name is Colin.
And this is the
Sports Hive Show.
Woo! All right. We have a lot of football to talk about, but we are actually fresh off of watching a Sunday night football. But before we get the reaction to the Packer fan that's sitting across from me here, if you guys could go ahead and follow us on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts and share with your friends who also love sports. We're going to be talking about baseball coming up as well, basketball season coming up. We can honorably mention the Mercury, who have made it into the WNBA Finals tonight as well, but we won't talk too much about them because we like to talk football. So yeah, if you guys can go ahead and share the podcast, we're trying to get our names out there, and if you guys can leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, that would help us a lot. So Colin, we just witnessed the first tie of the year, Sunday Night Football against the Packers and the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. And your feelings are raw, so I want to get your whole opinion, your whole take. You were down here watching the whole game while I was putting my kids to bed. I want to hear your feelings. So what do you got for me?
Obviously not happy. Not sad, though.
Because you didn't get the loss.
Yeah, I didn't get the loss. I didn't get the win. I'm just like, meh.
Right.
Not happy with a bunch of points in that game. Like, it was 13-0 with 44 seconds left in the second quarter, and then they blocked the extra point, run it back for a safety, and then they scored 2 touchdowns after the fact in 44 seconds. And then it's 16-13 at half. And then to have the ball in overtime with the last 4 minutes and 40 seconds to almost really, they shouldn't have won. They lost the game hella times.
Right.
By giving up the lead and letting the Cowboys just get whatever they want. And then, so if the ball in that last play had been thrown out of the end zone, the clock would have expired and it would have been over and the Cowboys would have won 40-37. But it hit Ferguson in the back. Not Ferguson. Who was it?
He threw to Golden, but I can't remember who was protecting him. So are you saying
it was 27. I think it was Bland. So since it hit Bland's back, the clock stopped because it hit an object.
Got it. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It stopped at 1 second, which saved the Packers in getting a field goal to win the game. But play calling, dog shit for the last 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It was good up until then. Love's best game this year. Jacob's best game this year. Dobbs' best game this year. Golden's best game this year.
Everybody had really good games this year. Definitely their best games on both sides of the ball.
Pickens' best game this year. Dak did phenomenal. Williams did okay. Ferguson got his first touchdown in what would be a season and a half. Micah got 1 sack. That was an important sack because it saved the Cowboys from scoring a touchdown. But for them to have the ball, I believe 13 plays and to only go 64 yards in 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and you get a field goal out of it, barely is not good whatsoever.
Yeah, they weren't very aggressive like I would have liked them to be, and I think a lot of Packer fans can agree with that towards the end there, especially the last 4 plays and the clock management from like a minute 50 down to triple or quadruple zeros there was not ideal. It was kind of suspect, I would say, because they were playing conservative at the end. They were playing for the field goal to tie it and not to win the game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's weird because you'd think if they would have just kept going and like they still had like a timeout with like a minute and a half left and they're playing conservative, like the Cowboys would have got the ball back had they scored a touchdown, but they wouldn't have. They would have won. They would have won 44-40 or 43 because I don't think they would have kicked the PAT.
So what are the for our listeners who don't know, what are the overtime rules this year? Because I feel like they're always changing, right? There's always something. And I know it's changed after the Bills-Chiefs game a couple years ago where only, I think it was the Chiefs who touched the ball in overtime, scored a touchdown. That was it,
Yeah, that was an AFC Championship game, I think.
Right, and the Bills didn't have a chance to score at all, so they changed the rules. So what are they?
Both teams get a chance to score, but if the first team scores a touchdown, the game continues, and the second team gets a chance to match. If the score remains tied after both possessions, a sudden death period begins where the next score wins. If the score is still tied when the 10-minute period expires, just like tonight, the game ends in a tie. But had there been a defensive score or defensive safety on the first possession in the Packers' favor, they would have won.
Understood. And that was only the second overtime game this year, and it hosted the Cowboys in both those. Once against the Giants where they won 40-37. But this time, Dallas couldn't close it out for that same score, and the Packers ultimately went for the tie. I myself, I don't agree with ties in sporting events at all. I think there should be a winner, and I think there should be a loser. I was talking to you about this at the end of the game, like what are the pros and cons for a tie, and it comes for seeding at the end of the season, which makes sense, but I think most people would agree, most fans would agree that at the end, you want a winner, you want a loser, and you want to feel those feelings. Do you want to feel the feeling of winning, or you want to feel the feeling of losing and then move on? Because having tied at 40-40 is pretty much why play the game. It's just 0-0, and you prove nothing. Micah proved nothing. Cowboys proved nothing. That's my take, at least for ties. I know other people have different opinions. What's yours?
Obviously not a fan of them, but in this scenario, both offenses were scoring at will. And the defenses weren't doing anything about it. So this game could have kept going until like 10, 11 in the morning, Dallas time, in 9th, 10th overtime if there wasn't rules to it. And the score would have been like 107, 107.
I believe it for how much they were just scoring.
Yeah.
There was no defense being played at all. And I think throughout the NFL, there were really no defense being played at all today. And when we're recording Sunday night, so we don't have reaction to the Monday night games, but
I could tell you ain't no defense is going to be being played tomorrow.
Right, and I agree
Probably
with that
no
statement
offenses
too.
either.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I guess now their Packers are what, 2-1-1, and the Cowboys are 1-2-1.
Mm-hmm. So I think obviously Philly's ahead in their division at 4-0. Then the Commanders I think are at 2-2, and then the Cowboys at 1-2-1, and then the Giants at 1-3.
Right.
And then on the opposite, Detroit's at 3-1, Green Bay's at 2-1-1, the Bears and Vikings both at 2-2.
You did mention during the end of that game there that you did not want to have the same record as the Bears.
Yeah, well, ask and I shall receive, I guess.
In a way that you didn't really want, but I guess you still got that prayer half answered. Because Packers and the Cowboys showed that their offense can play out for sure. And the Packers defense definitely played their worst game out of the year. But I guess some days you have better days in the field and some days you don't. And one of those today was that day that the Packers did not have a good defense at all. And Pickens went for, 11 catches, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns or something weird like that?
8 catches, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
11 targets.
Yeah, there you go. That's where the 11 comes in. Yeah, and then Dobbs, though, had, I think, I saw a stat at the end there, was 5 receptions for 54 yards and 3 touchdowns.
6 for 58
there
and
you
3
go.
touchdowns.
Yeah. No, a lot of the players definitely did fantasy teams in for them. So
the defenses didn't.
Yeah, definitely not the defenses today, for sure. Okay, we're going to rewind back to Thursday. So if you guys listened to our last podcast, last Wednesday that came out, we mentioned that Colin and I were going to go to the Diamondback game Thursday afternoon and then the Cardinals-Seahawks game Thursday night. So that didn't fare well, obviously. If anybody watches sports and baseball and football, the Diamondbacks lost 8-0. And then if you're watching Thursday night football, Cardinals fell short, lost on a game-winning field goal again twice in a row.
As I predicted.
Yep. I predicted that the Cardinals would be on the other side and win 24-21, but you didn't mention that the Seahawks were going to win by 3. The game was fun. The game was fun to be at. It was packed. We went from Chase Field in Phoenix to State Farm Stadium in Glendale, and there was a lot of traffic. We left Chase Field around 3, a little after 3:30, I think, and then we ended up at the Cardinal game after it started again for a second time in a row because we were late to the Panther game as well. So that was a lot of fun traffic for sure. But the game was fun. They were wearing their new rivalry jerseys. So everybody got a towel and the field looked really cool. But ultimately we came up short. I want to know your thoughts between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. What do you think about the Cardinals offense? And what do you think about the Seahawks offense during that game?
Well, Murray threw for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, was sacked 6 times. And his rating was 73.2. And also,
boy.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And then rushed for 41. Harrison had a few drop passes, but caught a touchdown.
And did you see that? Well, obviously you were there, but we weren't close up, so I didn't see his reaction until really after the game of Harrison like kneeling. Yeah. After he got that touchdown, like you see the emotion on him because he's been dropping passes like crazy.
Oh, yeah, he was like, "Thank the Lord, I caught one."
Right, because he had dropped passes prior to that in that same game. Like there's been like really no connection between Murray and Harrison this season, and it's showing. Like us Cardinal fans, I know you were neutral, but you heard the boos inside that stadium at the end of the first half, and it was not good. And it's like I said last week and the week before. Like, first off, Arizona sports were a 500 ball club or under. We, I think, as a fan base, are tired of Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing, and we want to see a change in those two spots specifically because we're just tired of mediocreness. But would you agree to that?
Well, Petzing hasn't been there too long, but then also doesn't have a good play calling, but then also Murray is not the answer.
I
now
agree.
He's not for the last 7 years.
Right. I think we've just held on to him for too long. And at the game we were talking about Kyler's contract, we were waiting for food. And he has, I think after this season, 2 more years on his contract. And I think what should happen is Jonathan Gannon is going to get his quarterback after this season, especially if we suck at the end of the season or if we go 500 and don't make playoffs. I think there's going to be a massive change when it comes to quarterbacks, at least. OC might still stay the same, but I think if anybody leaves and if we play with that mediocrity all season, I think Kyler's going to be the one that leaves because I think we end up paying his guaranteed money up for this season. So I think what should happen is we tank, get rid of Murray, and go for Carson Beck, the starting quarterback on the Miami Hurricanes.
I say, do what you got to do.
But yeah, that was we went 0 for 2. Baseball, we got shut out, but we did meet some cool people at the baseball game. We sat up in the upper decks, and we met a guy named Anthony who came in from Philly. Is that right? Mm-hmm. He was there for a bachelor party. He ended up following our podcast because of you. Mm-hmm. And then the people sitting next to you, what was his name?
Benny.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And we talked him into going to the Cardinal game. He bought tickets while sitting there, I think.
Yeah. His cousin didn't. We didn't see him at the Cardinal game, though.
No.
He's the opposite corner.
But I know both of them ended up following the podcast, so I just wanted to shout them out real fast, and hopefully they're listening and let us know. But overall, with with the football games today, what are your first initial reactions to any of the games? We can start anywhere.
Pittsburgh and Minnesota game. Obviously wasn't awake for that.
Oh, that's right. That's 6:30 a.m. in Dublin.
Just had a notification go off that DK got me an 80-yard touchdown, so I was pretty happy with that. But no, I'm glad that Rodgers is doing good.
Leading that division now,
Good enough.
Is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think...
Yeah, they're 3-1.
Yeah, we didn't predict that.
I think at the beginning of the year, I think I had said Steelers would be in second.
By the end of it?
Yeah, but obviously Baltimore in first, Steelers second, Cincinnati third, Browns last. But Baltimore and Cleveland at the bottom, 1-3, Bengals at 2-1, and Pittsburgh at 3-1. But and
the Steelers ended up winning that game 24-21. Dude, it would suck to fly all the way over there to Dublin and lose the game and have to fly all the way back.
Yeah, I mean, they almost come back. They came back almost because the Steelers were up 24-6 sometime in the fourth quarter, and then the Vikings came back, scored 2 touchdowns, brought it to 21-24. I think they were probably trying to get an onside kick recovery at the end of the game and then didn't get it.
Didn't work out. And then another exciting ending was that Bears-Raiders game. Did you catch the end of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Raiders were going for a game-winning field goal at the end with Carlson, and then the good old Bears blocked that kick. And now the Bears won 25-24 in that game. And all 3 of the Raiders touchdowns, Ashton Genty finally showed up. Been quiet as a mouse the first couple weeks of the season, and then finally exploded.
Yeah, 138 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Did have a fumble. And then receiving, he had 2 catches for 2 touchdowns and 17 yards.
That'll do it.
Pretty good.
And then we only have now 2 undefeated teams. Who are they?
The Buffalo Bills and the Schmeagles.
And the Schmeagles. Are they the teams to beat in the NFC and the AFC now?
Well, I don't know. We were talking about it after the Bills won against the Ravens. The Bills have a very easy schedule. And I don't know. The Eagles aren't playing to the best of their ability, but they're still 4-0, so I'm not really sure about them. I don't.
And they beat the Bucks, who are also 3-0, 31-25 only. The Bucks had more time; they could have came back.
Yeah, they've beaten Dallas by 4, Kansas City by 3, the Rams by 7, and Tampa Bay by 6, which are all. I mean, like all 4 like good teams. At least Tampa Bay and the Rams have good overall teams. Dallas and Kansas City are both wishy-washy.
I agree.
Despite tonight. Then they got Denver, then the Giants, then the Vikings, then the Giants again, then a bye week, and then the Packers.
That's going to be a good game right there.
Monday Night Football, Week 10.
There you go. And then the Bills beat the Saints 31-19 to become 4-0.
Well, yeah, that game was a lot closer than it should have been.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when I saw that score. And then C.J. Stroud and the Texans get their first win. Ends up being a blowout, 26-0.
Yeah, like I also said, they would.
So is C.J. Stroud and the Texans back?
Nope.
That was a quick answer. Just because they played the Titans.
Correct.
Dude, Cam Ward has not looked good in his first 4 games. That whole Titans offense and defense has looked trash.
Oh, he was the first overall pick for a reason, which means that the Titans team is kind of ass.
He even said it in his presser after his post-game presser. Yep. He legit said it wasn't an AI. I had to look it up. I had a few different sources. And he was like, we ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we suck on all sides of the ball. Special teams, defense, offense, everything.
Yeah, they have like a 16-game losing streak, so obviously that goes back to before he was even there. So they haven't won since probably around this time last year.
Which is insane. And I respect him being so real at the podium. I know he's probably going to get slammed with a fine because he dropped the F-bomb as well.
Probably.
But I do like it when sports players are real when it comes to the fact that they suck and they don't have to sugarcoat anything. I wish coaches would be more real as well. And I just wish that the NFL wouldn't fine these players for being so authentic when it comes to losing and winning. But that's just my take. I know some people are more soft. And then, do you have anything to add about that one? The Texans and the Titans? Cam Ward, C.J. Stroud?
Not really.
Dude, and then the Chargers fell to the New York Giants in New York.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad because I think we both had said the Chargers were going to win that game last week.
Right.
But I'm kind of glad we were wrong.
I agree with that. I mean, obviously, if you guys are listening to our podcast, you know that we're based in Queen Creek, Arizona. And so we have an attachment to ASU and Cam Scattaboo because Cam is the man, especially out here. So everybody here in Arizona is paying attention to the New York Giants and what they're doing. And then having Jackson Dart take the starting job over Russell Wilson. How do you think Jackson Dart did on his first start? What was his numbers, his stat line?
He was 13 to 20, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. He got sacked 5 times, rating 96. Then he also rushed 10 times for 54 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, altogether he had like 165 yards off of 13 completions and 10 rushing attempts and 2 touchdowns.
Is that a good stat line even if they lose? Or is it only a good stat line because they won?
I wouldn't be happy if that was my quarterback's number in a loss, but I'm okay with it since they won.
Because they got the dub.
Yeah.
A win is a win, nonetheless, you say.
Yeah. It said Russ came into the game. He had 1 completion for 8 yards.
That must have been a design play, I would imagine, or Dart might have gone out for a second.
Very, very end.
Right. But yeah, the Chargers didn't play the greatest ball.
No, Herbert at 203 yards, 56% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, sacked twice, threw a pick twice, QBR 57. Hampton did really good, 128 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Johnson did good, 98 yards off of 8 catches, 1 touchdown.
Johnston is definitely wide receiver 1 on that team.
Followed by Keenan.
Right.
And then McConkey.
Yeah, Ladd took a back seat, and I know Keenan's there, but Quincy Johnston, number 1, he's definitely wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't think the Chargers are dead. I think the Chargers just had a minor setback, especially when you throw 2 picks in a game. You should be winning that game anyways when you're turning the ball over like that.
Yeah, I think Herbert was just in his own head since Dart posted a picture of his girlfriend on Instagram.
That's right. What did you mentioned that last night? What did Dart say?
Oh, yeah, so...
He ended up deleting the post, right?
Yeah. For those that don't know Madison Beer and Justin Herbert are dating. So then Jackson Dart last night posted a picture of Madison at a Charger game, I think, the first game of the year. And then he goes, game day tomorrow. And then he had it up for a little bit, just obviously enough for it to circulate. And then he deleted it.
To get in Herbert's head, I'm sure.
Yeah. You should have kept it up. I would have kept it up.
That's so funny. I love when players are just bagging on other players like that via social media.
Yeah, and then something else like that. There was a video, I don't know if you saw it, but it was some random guy who posted on TikTok. He was playing NBA 2K last night at 1 in the morning, something like that. And so when you play online, you have people's names underneath your My Players. And St. Brown of the Lions was playing 2K last night at 4 in the morning.
That's crazy.
Because he was playing the Browns. So he was like, whatever, dude. And then the guy was like, oh, if he messes up all your guys' parlays, you know why. Because he's up until 4 or 5 in the morning.
Playing 2K.
Playing 2K, and then he had to play the Browns later on, 5 hours later.
I love it. I mean, football players are as real as us peasants down here. So I do the exact same kind of crap. Awesome. Well, no, it's good to see New York being 1-3 because, like I said last week, I think they have the best upswing to go on some sort of run. But there is a notable injury for the New York Giants. You want to expound on that? It's not a good thing either.
Oh, yeah. Malik Neighbors tore his ACL, and they were, quick with it. He got hurt and obviously went to commercial. Then he got carted off, and then he got, barely even needed an MRI done. And Schefter came out and said he tore his ACL. Literally, probably 10 minutes after he left the field.
Yeah. And they haven't made it official
bang, bang, bang.
That it was, season ending, which I'm sure they'll make it official tomorrow morning.
Well, yeah, any torn ACL is a season ending.
Right. So do you think the New York Giants go on a run, even with their wide receiver 1 out for the count for the rest of the year? Which sucks to see because everybody loves watching Malik Neighbors. So does my fantasy team, but...
Yeah, oh well. I think they'll be okay, but because it's not like they're going to win anything in their division anyway.
Right, no. They just have a good possible upswing, a young core, and hopeful now, which more than most teams can say at this point. I mean, Jackson Dart got his first win before Cam Ward did.
Correct.
And Jackson Dart only played 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
Cam's played 4.
Mm-hmm.
So who's better quarterback, Jackson Dart or Cam Ward? The guy who went first. And Jackson Dart, I think, where did he fall in the draft last year? It wasn't low, but it wasn't high. I know that he came out of Ole Miss, which Ole Miss, his alma mater, just upset the LSU Tigers. So now they're sitting at, I think, number 4 in the top 25 AP poll ranks. It's all good if you can't find it.
Got it. Pick 25. That's what I thought. I was thinking around
it was in the first, right? It was in the first round, so there you go. I guess Cam Ward's a bust.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the Rams Colts. Colts finally got their first loss.
Yeah, Danny Dimes is back.
Not Indiana Jones?
No, not tonight.
You knew most of these teams were going to have a fallback, but, I mean, the Colts lost their game. The Rams didn't win it. The Colts lost it.
Granted, I wouldn't, Jones should have had 2 more touchdowns than he actually did today, and the Colts should have won 34-27.
But they didn't because their young wide receiver, Mitchell, decided to drop a long bomb pass that would have been a touchdown at the 1-yard line.
Well, yeah, he caught it, ran with it. It was an amazing catch. He ran with it, and then he stuck the ball out just to flaunt it, and then it just slipped right out of it.
Right out of his hand, right before the end zone on the 1.
Correct, and then went out, bounce out the end zone, and then fumble, Rams ball, no points.
Fun times to be a Colts fan because I would have been pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jonathan Taylor had a 50-yard run, a touchdown run that got called back because he had a block in the back. That same guy, Mitchell, had a block in the back on the line. And so, yeah, he cost his team 14 points and most likely a W because the Rams took advantage like any team should and won.
And the Rams are 3-1.
Which sucks, being a Cardinal fan.
Along with the Seahawks and the Niners.
Yep.
And Cardinals at the bottom.
Yep. Nothing I'm not used to.
Uh-huh.
Arizona sports, always in the middle or on the bottom, never up top. Let's move on to the Ravens and the Chiefs. I was most excited to watch this game, but I don't know why. I don't know why I was excited. Because going into this game, we knew that the Chiefs' offense was not really that hot all year long. The defense is meh. And then the Ravens, I mean, obviously you have Lamar Jackson. You got Zay Flowers. You got Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews. So you think that team would be loaded and winning games, but both teams came in 1-2. One of them had to fall to 1-3, so we didn't know if that was going to be the Chiefs or the Ravens. But the Chiefs won that handsomely, 37-20. Give me your thoughts on both those teams.
Well, I didn't watch too much of it. I just obviously kept up with it. So I saw like 7-3 at the end of the first with the Ravens up. I was like, okay, decent. And then it was 20-10 at halftime. I was like, okay. And then it became 23-30. I was like, uh-oh. And then not 23, 13-30. And then 20 in garbage time, and then 37 altogether. But, I mean, Lamar went out with a hammy, and sometime in the third quarter, he looks fine. Like
he was walking around and sitting on the bench.
Yeah, like he'll miss like a game or two probably, which obviously that doesn't matter to our sister Shannon. She's already called the season a chicken wrap sandwich. She's done.
1-3, I would say the same thing.
And Lamar hurt.
Yeah.
I don't blame her, but she'll be back. Derrick Henry ran the ball only 8 times for 42 yards. Zay, 7 catches, 74 yards, no touchdowns. Jordan Hill, 5 catches, 41 yards, 1 touchdown. It was just not... And a bunch of other 7 defensive starters, I think, on the Ravens got hurt and went out.
During the game?
During the game.
7 starters.
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane. I know Wiggins got hurt. I saw that.
Yeah, they were already playing like Cheeks anyway, but, I mean, what's worse than Cheeks? You know what I mean? They're second-string Cheeks.
Right. The Ravens' defense in all, it's the worst defense in football. I expected the Ravens to be undefeated and/or 3-1 at this point, but... they are not. And then the Ravens defense has led up 41 points, 30 points, 14 points, and 37 points. They're
That's
not
really
good. Yeah.
They also allowed 6 different rushers tonight, 5 of them with positive yardage, and then Mahomes threw to 9 different receivers.
Are the Chiefs back? Are the Chiefs again after this win? Does this give them momentum to get back into the Super Bowl like they always are?
As long as the Zebras are on their side, then... anything's possible.
I haven't heard too much talk of the Zebras being on anybody's side this year. I think most games are getting called fair. There hasn't been that one crazy play call to end a game in the favor of Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen sort of game that I've heard of anyways.
No, just because the Bills have been winning handsomely, I think, except for one game. Obviously, that was against the Ravens, I think, in overtime. Chiefs lose to the Chargers by 6, lose to Philly by 3, beat the Giants by 13, and then won against Baltimore who by 17 today. So
Are the Chiefs back? Can't count them out, I think.
No, I wouldn't. They're just 2-2.
You can count the Ravens out, though. I think they're toast. I think our sister's right, who's a big Ravens fan. I think if you can't get any sort of defense going on and you have that many injuries plagued on your team, and then if Lamar's hammy actually is an issue throughout the year, then that's an issue, obviously.
Because the Ravens play the Texans and then the Rams, then bye week. Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Pittsburgh, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, and then Browns again, I believe.
Yeah, that's a hefty schedule.
Not Browns, but half winnable, half not if that defense doesn't get it together.
And the run game has been non-existent since the first game of the year.
Well, yeah, the overtime game.
Against the Bills. I mean, you also give Derrick Henry the ball only 8 times.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of play calling is that? Derrick Henry is your best player on the field besides Lamar. So that guy should be seeing 20-plus carries each game. Makes no sense to me. But I don't know anything. I'm just a spectator.
Yep.
Outside. I'm just also upset because I picked the Ravens to go deep. And now I just see that they're not going to. Because, yeah. Also, is Washington dead? Or is they just lose because JD5 and Terry McLaurin didn't play today? Because they let the Falcons score 34 points.
Who got shut out by the Panthers last week.
Correct. So are the Panthers better than the Commanders?
I think the Commanders are just fine.
Just a bad day in the office then? Defensively, at least? The offense put up 27 points, but defense didn't hold nothing. They let Drake London and Bijan Robinson have their way.
The defense might have had...
Was there a defensive score on the Commander side today? I only know of the punt return that the Patriots had.
No, there was not a defensive score. Mariota was 16-27, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, sacked twice. There's no rushing touchdowns for anybody. Debo was 6 catches, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. Luke McCaffrey, 2 catches, 21 yards, 1 touchdown.
CMC's little brother.
And yep. And that was it.
So are the Commanders dead?
No, they'll be all right.
They'd be all right. Cool. And Browns-Lions. The Lions won 34-10. So that probably wasn't too much of an exciting game unless you were a Lions fan. I know Amon Ross A. Brown scored. I know Gibbs scored one. I don't know who else scored throughout that game. I know Laporta didn't because I have Laporta on one of my fantasy teams and he doesn't do nothing. But I did see a stat that the Browns' defensive line, like we talked about last week, is one of the best. It is the best defensive line in the league. It held Gibbs and Monty to 102 rushing yards, which a week prior they were rushing for 225 yards and a couple touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So that Browns' defensive line is still good. In my mind, they just got to work out on their defensive backs, obviously, for letting the Lions score 34 points.
Yeah, St. Brown had 2 touchdowns. Gibbs had 1. And then, so obviously that's 21 points, and the other 13 were, that wouldn't make any sense. Then the rest were just field goals.
So the Lions are 3-1 now.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 4-0, but the Packers have that win against them at the beginning of the year. So I think the Lions are just fine.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. The Packers lose to the Browns last week, and then Lions beat the Browns this week, but then we beat the Lions week 1. So.
And then tie with Dallas. So who's running that division? Who's going to win it?
Well, Dallas ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, I know. I'm meaning they have the tie tonight.
Well, I'm talking about just the order of things. We beat the Lions. We can't beat the Browns, but the Lions beat the Browns.
That's true.
I don't know. This division's also, I know it's close to it's the beginning of the year, but it's all super, super close. Lions at 3-1, Packers 2-1-1, and the Bears and the Vikings at 2-2. Still.
So still anybody's division.
And then
really.
the Bears, they handsomely beat the Cowboys last week. So then we
2 wins in a row. They went 0-2, and then now they're 2-2.
Yeah, and beat the Raiders today. I don't know. Should be interesting in this division.
I agree.
Once again.
And then the Jags and the Niners. The Jaguars ended up being the Niners 26-21, giving the Niners and the Bird Gang, Bang Bang, no, not Bird Gang, sorry.
Not Bird Gang, fool.
We're the Bird Gang. Bang Bang Niner Gang, their first loss of the season, and it was a joy to hear that they lost after them beating us with a game-winning field goal.
In which Lawrence, 21 completions, 174 yards, 1 touchdown. Etienne had 124 rushing yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he had an 80-yard burst for a tutty.
Indeed, he did. I'm trying to see. So I think just the rest of their points, total points, so they had 4 field goals after that. The Jags are 3-1. They're tied for first place with the Colts in that division.
Which is insane. I never think of the Jaguars actually being good.
Not since Blake Bordelais took him to like a 13-4 record.
Right.
And like the AFC Championship game back in like 2015.
And Travis Hunter for the team, the two-way player from Colorado, hasn't really done much, if anything, for them. I know he hasn't intercepted anything. I know he doesn't have any sacks or any touchdowns. He's just been a quiet mouse.
His best game yardage-wise was today.
Was it?
Yeah, at 42 yards.
Got it.
But the most catches he's had was 6, and that was week 1.
His time will come.
Has
Probably not
to
on the
eventually.
Jaguars, though. And then the last game was kind of just a mutilation. Patriots ended up winning 14-13 against the Panthers. And the Patriots just had the way with the Panthers today. It seems like.
Yeah, 42-13. Panthers had a lead at the beginning. And then after that, it disappeared.
Nothing.
Andy Dalton came into the game.
Did he really?
To relieve Bryce Young.
Is Bryce Young the quarterback for the Panthers of the future? I mean, since he's been in the league, he hasn't done anything worth noting.
Yeah, he's 7-27 as a starter.
Oh, that's gross. Oh, that's real bad.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't know. I mean, because it could be an offensive line issue as well, because Andy Dalton did good on the Bengals, or good enough while he was there. And then for him to come here, he plays just like Bryce. So, I mean, I don't know. You got to beef up the offensive line.
I know Bryce is shorter than Kyler Murray by like an inch. I think height has a lot to do with your ability to play quarterback in the National Football League. Kyler Murray has been getting away with it because he's had stellar plays here and there in games and been using his feet. But I just don't think the league is kind for shorter quarterbacks like that. Unlike college, where you can have your way with something and then you come into the league and you're a bust.
They are the same exact size.
Are they? Yeah.
Height and weight.
And right now, I would deem Bryce Young as a bust. going 7 for 27 as a starter.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, if that's the true stat, which I think it is. That's not good at all.
No.
And then, speaking of just bad teams, Titans own 4, which we mentioned already, and the Saints are 0-4. And there's going to be one defeated team after Monday Night Football tomorrow, which is either the Dolphins or the Jets. One of those teams is going 1-3. One of those teams is going 0-4. So we're going to have 3 teams that are 0-4, 2 teams that are 4-0 after tomorrow. What are your early picks? After 4 weeks, what are your early picks for Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year? After 4 weeks. We can just talk about, we don't have to talk about stats or anything. We can just talk about like your feeling after watching football for 4 weeks. Who would you give the trophies to today if you had a choice?
Offensive Rookie of the Year would probably be Egbuka on the Bucks. He's just been more consistent.
He has a touchdown in every game, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I think there's maybe one game he didn't have a touchdown, but he got 2. I'm pretty sure I'm right because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. I'm pretty sure he's got a touchdown at least in 3 games of the 4.
Yeah, he's got 4 touchdowns on the year, though. He did not have one last week.
Maybe he just got yards last week because I think he had 2 in one game.
Yeah, he did. Then MVP, I would have to say Allen again at this point. Defensive Player of the Year, I'd say based off of sacks and like pressures and all that stuff. Probably Rashawn Gary, just because he's ahead of everybody else. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I don't know of many that are making noise except for like Abdul Carter on the Giants.
Is he a rookie?
Yeah.
He came from Penn?
I don't remember.
I
Penn State's where Micah went to.
I think Abdul Carter came from Penn State. Abdul Carter is a dog for sure. I can see that happening.
Yeah, he was at Penn State.
This is first or second year?
His first.
His first?
Yeah, I told
Okay.
you. Because he was a higher pick for the Giants.
Right. Now I do remember that.
Yeah, he was 3rd pick of this year. So it's him and Dart in the first round for both of them.
Not bad.
No. Then Offensive Player of the Year, who would be second best to Allen essentially.
Did you say James Cook has been going off lately?
Yeah, he's probably leading the league in rushing touchdowns.
Or Jonathan Taylor from the Colts?
Jonathan Taylor, one of the two. I would probably pick either one of them. Puka.
Oh, yeah, Puka Nacua has been going off.
He's been really good. I would honestly probably vote Puka at this point.
Didn't Puka have how many yards did he have today? I want to say he had like 100 and something high hundreds he had.
170.
Yeah, 170 for a touchdown, right?
Yeah, 13 catches, 170 yards, 1 touchdown.
Oh, dang. Okay, well, you know who Matt Stafford likes.
Forever and always.
And then who you got for your Coach of the Year? I'm writing all these down, so just in case you get any of them right. I think we'd have to go with one of the 4-0 teams. Maybe Sean McDermott or Nick Sirianni at this point in time, presently.
I would probably say Sirianni then, because the Eagles have played harder teams than the Bills have. The Bills haven't played anybody hard except for the Ravens.
Or you can argue, I guess, McDaniel, the new young coach at Seattle, going 3-1.
You mean McDonald?
McDonald, sorry. Yeah, McDonald. Not Mike McDaniel. No, he ain't doing nothing. He's going to lose his job this year. But yeah, McDonald, because he's a 30-year-old coach, younger than me.
Yeah, he could.
And he's carried the team to a 3-1 record. So I guess you can argue him in that case. Who'd you pick?
Even though he's kind of a weenie, I'd probably say Sirianni right now.
I agree with that weenie statement as well. But you can't look away from somebody who's doing good things with a football team, because that's not an easy thing to do. All right. I totally spelled his name wrong, but I got it. All right. So next week, looking ahead for the bye weeks, this is the first week of bye weeks. Is week 5. And you got the Packers, the Falcons, the Bears, and the Steelers not playing. So all those fan bases can rest. Aaron Rodgers is going to need his rest. So now we're going to play our start bench cut game. And I have a quarterback wide receiver duo and a quarterback running back duo. And there's going to be one set for each, if that makes sense. Trying to switch it up a little bit. So for the quarterback wide receiver duo, who would you start? Who would you bench? And who would you cut? Stafford and Puka, Baker, Egbuka, or Murray and Harrison Jr. Who are you starting? Who are you benching? Who are you cutting out of those wide receiver quarterback duos?
I'll start Stafford and Puka, bench Baker and Egbuka, and cut Murray and Harrison.
I had a feeling that was the route you were going to take.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to do the same thing, but quarterback, running back duos. Who are you going to start, bench, or cut? I have Brock Purdy, CMC, Jalen Hurts, Saquon, Jackson Dart, and Cam Scattaboo. Who you starting? Who you benching? Who you cutting?
I start Jalen and Saquon and bench Purdy and McCaffrey and then cut Dart and Scat.
I had a feeling that was going to be your answer as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then before we do our rapid fire week 5 predictions, starting with Thursday Night Football, because Thursday Night Football, you got the Niners and the Rams. Sunday Night Football, you got Patriots and the Bills. Monday Night Football next week, you got Chiefs and the Jaguars. But before we do that, we need to talk postseason baseball. It's here. It starts Tuesday the 30th, technically. It would be October playoff baseball, but it's here. So I'm going to name off the matches, and you can just take your best prediction. So now you have playoff picture here for the National League side. We have the Phillies and the Brewers, who are on a bye. So your first set of games are the Reds and the Dodgers, the Padres and the Cubs for the wild card spots. On the other side, for the AL wild card, you got Detroit and Cleveland Guardians, Boston Red Sox, and the New York Yankees. So do you have Boston over New York or New York over Boston for that series? It's a 3-game series, best of 3 for wild card.
Oh, the first game for them is in New York, right?
Yeah.
I'll probably go Yankees.
Yankees over Boston. Okay. So staying on the AL side, of the wild card series, you got the Detroit Tigers and Cleveland Guardians. Mind you that the Tigers have, I would argue, the best pitcher in baseball, and Tarek Skubal, and then is Ohtani. And the Tigers actually had a 15.5 game lead in their division and lost it in their wild card. So keep that in mind. So you got the Tigers or the Cleveland Guardians playing in Cleveland.
I'll probably do Guardians.
All right. I like it. And then on the National League side, we got the Reds and the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
I agree with that statement. And now on the other side, for the National League, you got the Chicago Cubs, the Cubbies, and the San Diego Padres, best of 3.
Padres.
All right. So who do you think will end up going to the World Series? Because Seattle has Cal Raleigh, who hit 60 homers, I should say, and he's a catcher. Definitely should be AL MVP. And then you got the Blue Jays, which is a really good team as well. And then you got the Brewers, which are a really good team. Philadelphia Phillies, which tend to choke in the playoffs. For me, I have the Seattle Mariners and the Dodgers in the World Series. Just because the Dodgers have the best starting pitching rotation in the league by far.
Mm-hmm.
But their bullpen sucks. So depending on if teams can get to LA's bullpen and keep it close throughout the game, we'll see if there's a team that can do that. But I just don't see a team being able to do that. So I think the Seattle Mariners and the LA Dodgers are going to be in the World Series.
I'll go with the Dodgers, and then I'll switch up a little bit and do Blue Jays.
There you go. Blue Jays were on fire this year. So as October goes on, we'll talk a little bit more about the playoff baseball in October. But the first set of games for the wild card are set to go off on Tuesday this week. So by the time this podcast episode comes out, it'll be Wednesday. So hopefully you guys are looking at playoff baseball. All right. So let's go back to our rapid fire week 5 predictions for the NFL. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Thursday Night Football, you got the Niners and the Rams.
Rams.
Vikings versus the Browns.
Vikings.
Cowboys versus the Jets.
Cowboys.
Giants versus the Saints.
Giants.
Raiders versus the Colts.
Colts.
Dolphins versus the Panthers.
Panthers.
Broncos versus the Eagles.
Eagles.
Texans versus the Ravens. Oh, I see you smiling and thinking over there.
Well,
Say it.
if Lamar doesn't play, I'm going to do Texans.
Okay. The Titans and the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Bucks and Seahawks.
Bucks.
Lions versus the Bengals.
Lions.
Commanders versus the Chargers.
Chargers.
And Sunday Night Football, Patriots versus the Bills.
Bills.
And Monday Night Football, the Chiefs versus the Jaguars.
I'll make a controversial pick. I'm going to do the Jags.
Oh, look at that. Okay. I like that pick, actually. So for me, Thursday Night Football, I'm picking the Rams over the Niners. Vikings over the Browns. Cowboys over the Jets. Giants over the Saints. Colts over the Raiders. Panthers over the Dolphins. Eagles over the Broncos. I also picked the Texans over the Ravens, regardless of Lamar or Henry play. I also picked the Cardinals over the Titans, because if the Cardinals lose to the 0-4 Titans, then I'm selling some jerseys. Bucks over the Seahawks. Lions over the Bengals. Chargers over the Commanders, Bills over the Patriots, and I picked the Chiefs over the Jaguars. That's what I got. We're pretty much the same down the board, besides that Chiefs-Jaguars game right there.
We shall see.
All right. Is there anything else worth noting on this podcast this week that we may have forgotten?
No, I don't believe so.
Any more injuries around the board? I know Malik Neighbors was definitely the most serious this week.
Just trying to think of, but I don't think they're.
And then the Ravens players. We'll see what happens to Wiggins.
Yeah, all of the Ravens got hurt. I don't think there was any other drastic injuries. If I did, I for some reason missed them. Oh, Joe Alt on the Chargers. He got carted off earlier, so they'd be
carted off.
Yeah, they'd be without Alt and Slater, their two best offensive linemen.
Dang.
Other than that, I think this Sunday was a pretty clean Sunday when it came to all that, except for the Ravens game.
And losing Malik Neighbors.
And Neighbors, yeah.
All right. Well, the NFL still continues week by week and having fun with each reaction. So we'll go ahead and end it. If you guys want to go ahead and, again, just a reminder to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and just give us a share on any kind of platforms. We're also on Facebook. So if you see us, follow us. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Sports Hive Show. Make sure you guys leave us a 5-star rating and a review. And we will see you guys next week. Stay cool and have fun.